Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, it is Wednesday the 25th of September, and it is time for the 27th episode of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. With me, James Mullinger, it is actually Wednesday the 25th of September. As I'm recording this, it is 6 o'clock in the morning, as you can possibly tell from my croaky voice. I had a show last night, as you possibly know, at the Fredericton Playhouse with the Symphony New Brunswick as part of our series of shows this week. We started off on Monday in Riverview, last night at Fredericton, and tonight we'll be at the Imperial Theatre in St. John. And to be honest, I'm still buzzing. No, I've not been up all night. I'm just absolutely so I guess creatively fulfilled is the correct way of putting it. I can't tell you what a joy it's been sharing a stage with these world-class musicians, just belting out these absolute classics, and getting to combine classical music and comedy. And it's been a lot of work. We've all been working around the clock, getting this show ready, prepared. I don't know how much people know about Symphony New Brunswick. I mean, it truly is the most incredible story. It was founded in 1983. They're celebrating their 41st season. This week is the beginning of the first season of shows, and just sharing a stage with this incredible orchestra of talented people, which it's just so fascinating to me because obviously, traditionally, when I'm on the road, I'm by myself. I'm obviously not. I'm often arriving in a city and meeting a promoter or opening acts, and then of course meeting people after shows. But generally, the travel part, I'm by myself, and it's a lot of driving by myself. So being in this with this orchestra of kind of 50 plus people, it's just the most beautiful family, essentially, where they, we're all traveling by bus together. We've got this amazing English driver from Nottingham, who's just the most charming gentleman. But just seeing how this incredible orchestra operates, how Symphony New Brunswick as a whole operates as a business, as a creative entity, creating these shows, but also just the management of managing all of these people, and honestly, these musicians are the best of the best. I mean, the Maestra Mélanie Léonard, this is her fourth year with Symphony New Brunswick, and she's just like one of the most kind of in demand conductors, anywhere in the world, and so blessed to have her here. She was actually the first woman to complete a doctorate in orchestra conducting at the University of Montreal, the first. And she's nothing like the Tar character in Tar, played by Cate Blanchett, which that movie definitely gives you the wrong impression of what the world of classical music is like. Melanie is just the most charming, delightful, and the fact that she's obviously a world-class conductor goes without saying. And she's been a guest conductor for everyone from Montreal Symphony Orchestra, Toronto Symphony Orchestra. But what's amazing about the way that the remarkable Peter Samet and his daughter Danny operate, and the way that just their the fact that they are uniquely skilled goes without saying, but the way in which they are able to meticulously organize, and this is the thing that's just been so nice, is getting onto a bus with all these people, feeling like a family, and people that I've watched perform so many times over the years in different capacities. Andrew Reed Miller being an example, just phenomenal musician. I mean, pretty much everyone on the stage I've seen perform in some capacity. I was actually at this show, tonight's show, the Imperial Theatre show, the season opener, Chart Toppers, last year. So I was there as a fan, and now to be on the stage with them, and they've just been such a joy to collaborate with. They came to me a few years ago with this idea of doing something together, and I wanted to do it right, and the dates didn't line up. I was just jam packed, and I knew this was going to take. I knew preparing something fresh, unique, something from scratch was going to take time. And it did, but this year we did it, and it just Monday night, seeing it land for the first time and land so well was just, honestly, I can't tell you how happy it's made me. And last night at Fredericton was even better, and no doubt tonight in St. John is going to be, uh, in theory, these shows should just get better and better and better. And I know come 10 p.m. tonight, I'm going to feel quite sad that this is over, because it's genuinely been one of the most enjoyable. Put it this way: if you're listening to this, and I would jump at the chance to do anything with a symphony orchestra ever again. It's just been, I mean, and the audience has just been phenomenal. I mean, my big worry, I'll be honest, I mean, I'm always nervous, as you know, but my big nervousness about taking this on in the first place, and indeed the production and doing it. And again, just watching how hard they work, like the rehearsals, which is at your all day Sunday, we were at St. John High. Um, they are just, belting out these hits, like the amount of energy it takes to blow into instruments, to be moving all that time and in such a skilled way. Um, just incredible to watch. But as I say, nerve-wracking for me, because my big worry was, Symphony New Brunswick audiences coming out, me obviously wanting to bring what I've been asked to bring, which is the funny, but not at the detriment of the music, not at the detriment of the musicians, not wanting to for anything to ever be disrespectful to the art and the craft of what they do. And honestly, Peter and Melanie have just been such an incredible pleasure to collaborate with. And as you will know, if you've been to the shows, you're coming tonight, as you'll see, Melanie and I engaging together on stage, like she's just a natural at being hilarious, and I'm obviously not a natural at music. No one's a natural at music, but she's just an absolute natural at being funny. So it's just been amazing. And thanks, God bless Janice McAdam, who was there last night, who always gives me great intel for shows. She sent me a message. I know I say I don't read out compliments on the podcast, but I'm going to read this one out just because it's uh, relates to other people, i.e. the symphony. Brilliant show tonight. Nice to see you've moved up in the world and not only travel on a bus, but have a band now. Obviously referencing the fact that I have talked about on this podcast before how much I love traveling on the maritime bus. Oh, and I didn't know if I referenced this, that the other week I was saying about how people are so judgmental about the bus, and that people were kept saying to me, oh, if you go on the bus, people get beheaded. Well, those of you that sent me the link will know that someone actually did indeed get beheaded on a bus in Manitoba, which is obviously not ideal. I would argue that this beheading could have taken place anywhere. I don't think that if someone could get beheaded in first class. I'm sure on a plane in first class. I'm sure I've seen it in a hijack movie, but that doesn't mean everyone goes around going, "Oh, don't go on the plane, you might get beheaded." Well, look at 9/11. Not everyone doesn't say don't get on a plane. It might end up It might end up crashing into a building in New York, do they? Some people say, my mum does say that, to be fair, but one person got beheaded once on a bus once, and now no one can travel by bus. Anyway, but you're right. It's funny. Like, I normally travel on the bus, but now I'm on a tour bus. I'm on a tour bus with a load of musicians. It's amazing. Move over Mick Jagger, she says. It was lovely to chat after the show. And yes, she gave me some little nuggets of intel about Zellers when it was in downtown Fredericton. But I'm not going to share it here because I'm crafting it into a joke for this Friday's show. And that's why I'm back at the Playhouse this Friday. So I was there last night. What amazing to get to do this Playhouse twice in 1 week. So I'm back there this Friday with my solo tour show, the show that I'm touring right now, with special guests Corey Hartland and Brady Mandeville, who incidentally I'll get back to. I'm now going off on tangents, but hey, it's my ADHD brain. It's all over the place. It's a web. It's a web of. My brain is like a Kingston Peninsula family tree. It's all over the shops. Can't help it. Brady and Corey and I did a show together for fun, but also as somewhat warm up for Fredericton Playhouse show, which is being filmed by Tyler for my next year's concert movie. And my goodness, the Hampton Brewing Company just gets better and better. So this was last Wednesday after I was with you all last. We went down there. I mean, I thought it was a gamble doing a show outdoors in a brewery parking lot. It's amazing. The Hampton Brewing Company, the outside venue is gorgeous. The inside's gorgeous. The beer's gorgeous. But the venue, it's outside. You're basically in between a campground, the woods, a car park, and a horse stables. I mean, could there be a more Maritimes performing arts venue than that? And hats off to Ashley Parker for just being a joy to work with. If you know or met Ashley, which most of you probably have, she is just the best, just the most charming, delightful, brilliant person, but also just a stickler for the detail. And you know, as you all know, I'm nervous doing any show in a place I haven't done a show before. And after our first show there a couple of weeks ago, you know, I'd come back and say, you know, there's a couple of things I'd love, like the seats closer to the stage and blah blah blah. Basically, a few things that I just knew would make it better, and she just did everything to perfection. And I have to say, last Wednesday's show at Hampton Brewing Company was, and I, thank you to Mark and Cindy who, from England, from Bournemouth, who moved to the Kingston Peninsula 2 years ago, and indeed everyone that was there. I mean, it's just phenomenal to me that after 10 years, you know, you can sell 100 tickets for a show in a parking lot so quickly and just have the best time. And honestly, it was the most, one of the most enjoyable shows I've had this year. The crowd was electric. Corey Hartley absolutely ripped the roof off, opening as he always does. I love it when Corey opens for me because I genuinely sit there shitting myself that I can't follow him. And he'll do the same thing to me this Friday, and I love it. I need to be challenged in this way. I need to be pushed. The more so anyway, he did a phenomenal job. So much improvising. It was just a wonderful, wonderful night. And then Brady, I mean, I don't want to spoil the surprise for this Friday. Brady Mandeville, up and coming comic. Oh my God, absolutely phenomenal. We bring him into the show in a very special way, which will be revealed this Friday. But I'll tell you, last Wednesday at Hampton, he had his wonderful girlfriend was there, who I saw again. Actually, they kindly came to see me on Saturday at Indigo, where I was doing a book signing for by a New Brunswick Book Day. But meeting Brady's absolutely wonderful mum and dad, and meeting his girlfriend's mum, who I actually turned out already knew because she used to work at the Gap factory store at East Point, and we used to talk like 10 years ago. So it's so nice to see her again, and just beautiful. Anyway, point being, a few tangents already. Bloody hell, 12 minutes. How did we get in 12 minutes? So, anyway, point being, just absolutely buzzing from these symphony shows. I'll probably talk about them more next week and about the process. I don't want to give away too much about tonight's show, but suffice to say, like I said, we've been just rehearsals, and I love this. Like, my ADHD brain really does do well with this kind of all-encompassing focus. It's like when I'm on a TV production and we're filming, and it's like 10 days or 2 weeks where you're solidly on one thing, or when I'm on the road doing. It's different actually. Even when I go to when I'm on the road, there's a bit of you're focused on the travel. You're focused on where we're going to eat today. Where am I going to find some place to exercise? Where am I going to do this or that? But when you are ensconced in a production like this, my brain can't go mad and start just ripping me apart. And I love this focus. And when you are working with other people, it's just such a joy. Danny Semetz's amazing husband, boyfriend, Peter, also English, who I'd never met before. It's funny, he's lived here for over 10 years as well. And, you know, every time he meets people and he says he's English, they go, do you know his manager? And it's just funny that we're finally met and working together. He is the tour manager, stage manager. And oh my God, it's just such a joy to have a stage manager. I mean, I know you all know this, but like, when I walk out on stage in a big theatre or small club, or wherever I am, I've basically been responsible for everything. I've booked the venue. I've written the blurb for the ticketing site. I've done all the marketing. I've done all the logistics. I've bought the case of water to put in the dressing room. Like I do all of everything to be with this symphony, and like to be able to arrive at a venue and someone else is like worrying about, you know, getting my headset on and my microphone fixed and calling me to sound check. Like, for me to not be doing everything and to just be worrying about the show. Oh my God, is this what it's like to be a famous comedian? It must be. It's amazing. So anyway, Sue Kay also, she was at Riverview on Monday night. Oh, and also at lovely Ariel, who I talked about in this podcast because she was such an amazing actress, who I worked with on the sitcom a few months ago for the Trailer Park Boys, and she was MC at Ballet by the Ocean, or Ballet by the Sea, or Ballet by the Ocean, or Summer. Absolutely amazing actress, and she's currently I just learned and met her lovely mum as well on Monday night at Riverview Arts Centre. And Ariel is actually part of this massive sci-fi series that's being filmed in St. John, Revival. So anyway, amazing actress. So yes, Sue wrote, said, "What an amazing evening at Riverview Arts Centre. Conductor and her symphony put on an amazing performance, and James Manager was his usual affable, funny self with serious information on the pieces being played," which I'm so grateful to Sue for saying that, because that's what I wanted. I want these shows to be informative, and trust me, I've put in the research. I've been working. I can't think of, I mean, I work hard on all my shows, but I have been working on this for months, with serious information on the pieces being played. And this is what I've tried to get right, the balance between getting it right so it's funny without ever distracting from the amazing artistry of the compositions, and the symphony and the conducting, but also wanting to make it fun, entertaining, funny, informative. So there we go. Hampton Brewing Company. If you haven't been, and it's funny, since I've been doing these shows, I meet so many people at the brewing company that go there all the time. I've had tons of people come up to me after they saw Tyler Warren Ellis's photographs of it, saying, "Wow, that place looks gorgeous." Well, it is gorgeous. The beer is gorgeous. Mike and Simon, who founded it, just absolute legends, just true heroes. And Mike, again, it just they're just true Maritimes entrepreneurs, and guys that knew how to make their dreams happen. They wanted to they made beer together for fun, and they've turned it into this brewing company that's kind of nationally, if not globally, respected. And if you've tried the beer, and if you haven't, do it. Such a, I mean, just phenomenal. But anyway, Mike and Simon, and Mike bumped into. It was funny, like did the show there, and then bumped into Mike and his wonderful wife Crystal on Saturday at a soccer game. Yes, amount of times there. But my English friends always love that when they come here, and like we'll go to something or they'll come to a show, and then 2 days later we'll be in a completely different context, and we'll bump into the venue owner or something like that, and they're like, "Oh my god, how often does this happen?" It's like all the time. Oh, and then minutes later, Pam and I left the soccer game, went to Sobeys, bumped into Michael Crystal there too. Love the Maritimes. Oh, I should point out before I go back to what I've been up to. This has been a big week for New Brunswick hockey, in that 18-year-old Gabe Smith, who I've talked about in this podcast before, from St. Andrews by the Sea, made his NHL debut with Utah on Monday night. I mean, just amazing. Look, when these amazingly talented players get NHL drafted, it's like, when will they get used or played? I'm not know what the terminology is, but then it finally happened. This week, Monday night, sold out Delta Center, just absolutely rammed. And most beautifully of all, Utah won 3-2 against the LA Kings. So Gabe has been in LA to play in the rookie face-off, and was asked to stay an extra week. So just an amazing thing that and then he was asked to basically stay on, train, and play in last night's game. I mean, how amazing is that? Like this, and the amount of people that I meet that know Gabe and know his family. I was in St. Andrews the other week and met so many people that know and love his family, and just they say they are the most amazing, kind, lovely people, community-minded people. So now, after nailing it, um, and winning with Utah, he is returning to Moncton this week, where he's suiting up this weekend for the Wildcats home opener at the Avenir Centre. So go to that game and cheer on, well, not a future NHL superstar, a current NHL superstar. I actually, Gabe's wonderful uncle was kind enough to get some trading cards that we have of Gabe signed by him. And some of our other Gabe Smith trading cards we actually got graded by PSA. Okay, so I'll shoot through the week, and I'll keep it a nice short one because I don't want to keep you. So yes, Monday was Hampton. Then got up early the next morning. Had a massive day of meetings in Moncton on Thursday. And just one of those amazing. When we first launched the magazine, as it was starting every business, it's a bit like pulling teeth. You feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. And I think I said this last week, like things with the magazine are just going phenomenal right now. And just people we have so many great relationships with people in Moncton, and we got up, dropped the kids off early at school, shot in, and we've started off actually visiting the Atlantic Cancer Research Institute. Now, again, I don't know if everyone knows this, that in the Georges Dumont University Hospital Centre campus is the Atlantic Cancer Research Institute, which is basically doing world renowned innovative research. There is over 50 experts and students from around the globe in there. And this groundbreaking research in liquid biopsy and targeted therapy is happening right here in our province in beautiful Moncton. And Pam and I had the pleasure, we were in there early, hot-footed it straight from dropping off the kids, and went in. And my goodness, the work they're doing is just incredible. My good friend Michael Cantwell, who I knew, he used to work for the Arthur Irving Foundation here in St. John. He and I bumped into each other in an elevator actually it was like literally this time a year ago, after I'd hosted the Sobeys Grocery Foundation Gala. And he told me about the work the Atlantic Cancer Research Institute were doing, where he now worked. So yeah, to see him again, and then to meet Remy Richard, and got to meet so many people, got to meet one of the founders, Dr. Rodney. I mean, it was just honestly incredible. So anyway, go to their website, atlanticcancer.ca, and trust me, you will feel the most incredible sense of pride at this, like I say, well, it's obviously life-saving, life-changing, globally recognized cancer research happening right here in our province. That was super wonderful. But then we had a meeting at the Capitol Theatre about my show there next month. I'm playing the Capitol next month, 25th of October. Tickets are like 85% sold out. As always with my tour shows in big theatres, there's surprises in store. So that was an important meeting to have. So anyway, just stay tuned for that. Then went and checked out, I mean, the work that's being done at the Delta Beaujolais, why can't I say it? Beaujolais, Delta Beaujolais. I've literally said it's gorgeous hotel more than 100 times, performed it about 50 times, and I still can't say it. Delta Beaujolais. Beaujolais. Met with Alex Thorne and his team there. Alex Thorne from St. John, was out west for so many years working at some of the best hotels in Canada, and now he's back here turning Delta Moncton into one of the best hotels in Canada. Always has been, but he is elevating it to an incredible degree. A meeting, we had wonderful meetings with Destination Moncton Dieppe. So anyway, so many exciting things happening. Also, the wonderful people at Arts NB had organised for the CEO of Canada Council for the Arts to come here and meet with artists, performing artists, and so that was absolutely incredible to get to meet the CEO of Canada Council for the Arts at a place again I hadn't been, embarrassingly, which was the gorgeous Dieppe Art Centre. It's just amazing. There's so many beautiful performing arts venues here, presumably thanks to Canada Council for the Arts. And so anyway, lots of exciting things to come from that, and just one of those wonderful packed days where you go and have meetings and leave feeling so fulfilled and revitalized and positive, which isn't my natural default. Friday had back-to-back meetings about corporate gigs coming up. Watched a lot of soccer, chatted with my mum and dad, which I don't do enough. Watched some quality soccer. Had big rehearsal in the morning with Melanie and Peter for the I basically did my final script through Zoom. And Friday night was just a quiet one at home. Fun one. My son had his one of his best friends, Morgan, over for a sleepover, and a mother son, River, was treated to a wonderful night out by his beloved Aunt Judy and her girlfriend Sheila, and they took him out on a special birthday treat night out, and they had lots of fun. Saturday, obviously I mentioned it was New Brunswick Book Day, so I was at the Indigo all morning, had so many wonderful discussions with lovely people, met so many, just wonderful people that it was just nice to be able to just sit and chat with people. So anyway, I had so much fun, and Chantel and Miranda at Indigo, just the greatest people, and had an amazing time actually chatting with Chantel's husband, who is truly a wonderful man who I've had the pleasure of meeting so many times, but never actually got a chance to sit down and talk. And so that was really, really lovely. And thank you, Wendy and Greg, Jeff Liberty and his beautiful family. Yeah, just just so nice. I met the most lovely Devlina Paul. Is just was just a joy. She moved to New Brunswick, and actually I believe she's coming to the big show tonight. But she moved to New Brunswick, and she is just remarkable. She came here, I believe. I mean, she's like basically an AI expert. She's an expert in so many things that I don't fully understand them, but I mean, when you talk to someone and you're just absolutely blown away. That's Devlina. And the Saturday night was the thing I was so excited for, obviously, which was Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium. Oh my goodness. I mean, this was, I mean, well, they say it was the biggest British boxing match in history. 96, well, it is the biggest attendance ever. 96,000 people packed into Wembley Stadium. Of course, the big surprise. I was sat there at the pay-per-view. We had I honestly never been so excited about a fight. I mean, I was so. I mean, one of my favorite fights, which again isn't remembered as a classic, it is for me, was Shannon Briggs versus Lennox Lewis, which I still have on VHS that I recorded on Sky Box Office in 1998, which is interesting about the last time it cost £20 to buy a pay-per-view. But thanks to the Saudis, as I said last week, Joshua versus Dubois was only 1999. Liam Gallagher played beforehand. I mean, what an event, what a night. Seeing Tyson Fury in the front row, Conor McGregor in the front row. Um, Usyk was there, obviously. It just felt. Anyway, it was an incredible event, and nobody expected. And all week long, I've been watching the prelims, the weigh-ins. I've been watching the press conference that was at the Guildhall in London. Where I actually had my school induction ceremony at the Guildhall in London and recognised it. And Anthony Joshua was just, I mean, I don't know what was wrong with him. He was off his game. No one, well, apparently some people did expect, I didn't expect him to get knocked out in the 5th round, but it was just amazing. Anyway, such a buzz. Loved watching it. Love an event like that. Liam Gallagher, a lot of people slagging off his singing. The joke, the rumor was that Oasis tickets hit the resale market big time straight after Liam's performance. I mean, I don't know if it was that bad. He closed with my favorite Oasis song, Cigarettes and Alcohol. And I guess his voice has just matured. Like, he doesn't do the anymore. Like, he kind of actually tries to sing, which possibly isn't the best thing for his style of voice. But he yeah, I don't know if it was terrible, but I mean, yeah, people who were saying it sounded like an Oasis tribute are not far off. Sunday, as I mentioned, all day in St. John High, I was in rehearsals, and watching the symphony rehearse, which again is just nothing more fun than watching them all perform, and in the wonderful Dennis Knibb Auditorium. And I have to. Well, I can reveal this here. I'll be announcing it in the next week or so, putting tickets on sale. My big St. John 2025 show will be at St. John High. I have not played that. It's the biggest theatre in the city. I've not played it in about 5 years, possibly maybe more, since Nikki Payne and I performed there. And I can't wait. I love the Dennis Knibb Auditorium. I love St. John High. My wife went there. And so yeah, that's it. And then obviously Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I've Monday, Tuesday, I've talked you through, which was just Symphony, Dreams. I watched Monday night when I got in from Riverview about midnight. My wife was watching Emily in Paris, which I've been starting to watch the last episode. It is quite fascinatingly bad, but also watchable. Like, how do they do that? It's a very interesting balance of being really quite like Hallmark bad. Like it makes like the romance part and some of the acting of the men. Ugh. I mean, it does some of it make like a Hallmark movie look like Brief Encounter. Um, but equally, it's obviously good because it's watchable and popular. I'm a great believer of things that are popular tend to be good. Well, not Hitler, obviously. Not everything that's been popular has been good. But you know what I'm saying? I'm a great believer that if a lot of people enjoy a thing, well, no, not murder. Well, if a lot of people enjoy a piece of art or a piece of entertainment, unless it's snuff movies, obviously. Well, yeah, not paedophilia either. But anyway, I think you get my gist. If people like a thing that doesn't hurt people, then it's got to be a good thing. But Emily in Paris, so yeah, send me your thoughts on Emily in Paris. I would love to know. So that is what I've been up to. I will go to the questions. Let's go straight in there. Question Adam Blanchard. Thank you very much, Adam, for reaching out. Question for the podcast from a stand-up newbie. Well, Adam, it's lovely to meet you, and I very much look forward to seeing you perform, my friend. So we'll go to your question. Sorry, just need a sip of coffee because it's now 6:30 in the morning, and B, as I said, I have been performing every night and going to bed late. I'm sure I'll get a nap in before tonight's show. This is Adam's question. What is the best strategy to building a comedy set versus trying new material? How often can you repeat the same act in an area like New Brunswick without risk of being repetitive? Thanks so much. I'll be performing at Wasted Day on the 27th of September at 7 p.m. to help raise money for Forward House. I've attached the poster. Funnily enough, actually, lovely Kai Lucas also messaged about that show, so I will plug that show in a minute. What is the best strategy for building a comedy set versus trying? Well, I went to a comedy. Completely forgotten this until now, but I remember like in my first few months of doing comedy, I think this might even have been at the day of the Jimmy Carr Comedy Idol auditions, or it was maybe that weekend. So I'd been doing stand up for maybe 3 months, and I'd entered Jimmy Carr's Comedy Idol. And it was, like all TV auditions, you line up with hundreds of other freaks and weirdos, and you all go in and try. And Jimmy Carr was kind of sitting on the panel. But anyway, I think the day after that, Jared Christmas, who's a great New Zealand, New Zealand, not Australia, New Zealand comedian based in London, did a little seminar for a load of new comedians, a group of us that call ourselves, we're in like a troupe, or not really a troupe, but kind of a collective called Electric Mouse, where we would put on shows all over. So I had one show that I ran at the Mason's Arms in Mayfair, which is the one that got shut down by the police for offensive material. You can read that story on the British comedy website Chortle. And another club that I was doing with Electric Mouse was at the King's Head Theatre pub in North London, where some of the greatest plays of all time, including, I believe, Beautiful Thing by Jonathan Harvey, started. Anyway, sidetracking. And Jared Christmas gave us all a piece of advice, which 20 years later, I still find useful. And he said, especially when you're starting out, he's like, don't feel like you constantly have to write a new bit. He's like, take the existing bits and build on them, make them grow, add an extra tag, an extra punchline, maybe even find a callback in it. And this is not to say don't write new bits, but if you are struggling with writing bits, build on the bits you've got. And he was like, that is how you turn your 5 into a 10, your 10 into a 20. And what's interesting about that piece of advice was that I found it phenomenally useful then. It's also possibly what took me, if you've seen my Comedy Idol audition set and it was actually the final, my Comedy Idol set that I did at the final at the Comedy Store in London with Jimmy Carr. I was very one-linery when I started out, which is obviously very different to what I am now, which is unfortunately, possibly for sometimes, the opposite, which I'm somewhat as rambly as you can tell if you're listening to this ramble. and I can be long-winded. So I'm often now trying to tighten things back. Anyway, his point was, yeah, take the existing bits and find how you can if you've got a bit that's working, how can you keep adding tags to it? So I'll give you an example. 10 years after he gave me that advice, I moved here, and I remember I have a joke which some people may not like, but it oddly still lands. It's based on a true story about how getting the word pants in England means underpants, and here in Canada it means trousers. And I have a joke about getting confused the first time I went to the doctors here. Anyway, the joke when I first moved here was simply, um, in England pants mean blah blah blah. In England pants mean underpants. Yeah, that made my first doctor's appointment pretty awkward. That was a joke, one liner. The audience get the joke, move on. I did it one night I was headlining at the Comedy Works in Montreal. I think Derek Seguin was emceeing. So the crowd had been set up, like they were on fire. And early on in my set, I did that joke and it got such a massive laugh. I was like, I cannot leave it there. So I said, yeah, I went in to Dr. Scott's surgery, and my wife's family got survived. And he said, "Take off your pants. I'll be back in a minute." Boom, another massive laugh. So I thought I just keep going and so that routine, almost word for word, how it is still performed now, was written in that moment because they laugh. So if the audience laugh massive, I mean, obviously record every single set, especially when you're starting out. But even now, I still do it, um, except corporates. um, Record them because if something gets a massive laugh, don't move on, build on it. And I would say another way in which that's helping me now is, for example, right now I'm touring. It's my 20th year doing comedy, so my tour is comedically, obviously, ironically. Um, Ironically, it's ironic because I'm not arrogant. It's ironic arrogance titled Greatest Hits, my Greatest Hits tour, i.e., it's like 90 minutes, 100 minutes of my quote unquote best jokes from 20 years in comedy. Now, what I've found interesting dusting off these jokes is that what I've been doing is actually building on them, so that actually now at this stage of the tour, the jokes are not the same joke they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago. They've all become this whole new thing. Now, I used to complain for a long time about the fact that it sucks that comedians we have to come up with new material every year, right? To your point, Adam, especially in a small place. My whole And so to answer that part of your question, yeah, I mean, for the last 10 years, I have essentially turned over a new, at least 60 minutes, possibly 70, 80 minutes every year. Because I've toured a new and different show every year. Because in a small market, yeah, you need the same people to keep coming back and see you year after year. Sometimes twice a year, which is why I pretty much the first 10 minutes of every show I do is brand new for that week, like topical. Like, I mean, I pretty much work like I work and write like I'm hosting a daily, you know, topical news show, chat show, late night show, because that's how I see it here. Like, my audience is predominantly, I would say that there's a very large contingent, and more so probably than most comedians, large contingent of wonderful retired people who are very kind to come twice a year to shows, sometimes 3, 4 times a year. So, a great market to have. Who has time, who has disposable income, and they've not had a stressful day at work, and life doesn't suck for them, so they're ready to laugh their asses off. They've lived life. They're ready to laugh. I mean, they're the greatest audience. And I love it when I look at my theatre tour bookings, and it's like, I mean, Friday at the Playhouse, it's like 10% students purchases. Um, it's like 60%. Well, it says seniors, but I was recently advised that the word seniors is being phased out and replaced with older adults. But I don't know if people like the word old. Anyway, um, what's my point? My point is that, so yes, to your point, Adam, especially when you're doing, especially if you're doing a lot of open mic nights, and it was the same in London, where all the open mic nights were mostly the same comedians coming out and their friends or partners. So in London, I felt the exact same thing. I was starting out 2005 doing these gigs and having to try to write a new five like every week. So it's hard to build on it. But I think what you're trying to get is the perfect set. So yes, keep writing, but if you've got a bit that's working, keep hammering it. Don't feel that you have to change it. Keep hammering till you get it just right, because that's what, that's how, what's Ricky Gervais? I mean, he's a bad example of a great stand-up in my opinion, but I just read yesterday, so it's top of mind, that he's done 90 warm-up shows for his his mortality tour, his next arena tour. So, which would be normal, like, these people like Chris Rocks, they're doing 100, 150, they're doing the jokes 100, 150 times before they're ready. So don't think, oh, I've done this at this open mic night, can't do it again. So it's I guess the answer is it's a combination of all of it. You've got to, the bits that are working home. I mean, don't flog a bit to death, but then equally, I have to say there's some bits that I've thought didn't work and almost trashed, and then one night it's somehow something's clicked. I've used a word different. I've paused. I've left a dramatic something, and it's clicked and it's worked. So I'm always here to help with advice, by the way, Adam. If you ever want to run things past me, happy to help any way that I can. But yes, so I guess the point I was going to say was what I used to complain about is how musicians, get to perform their greatest hits. No one wants to hear their new stuff, whereas comedians, everyone wants to hear their new stuff. It's like the opposite, right? If you go and see a comedian you love, and you saw them last year, this year you want to see only new stuff. You don't want to see any of the old stuff. You want to see new stuff. And if they start in the old stuff, you're like, oh, fuck, why are they doing their old stuff? But if you go and see the Rolling Stones, and they don't play the old stuff, you'll be pretty pissed off. Like, you go to see Rolling Stones, you want to hear them play the song you've heard them play 50 million times. And what do you not want to hear? Their new shit. No one wants to. When the Rolling Stones come out and go, this is one from our new album, boom, everyone gets up, goes to the toilet, goes to the bar. It's the opposite. Like, comedian says, okay, here's an old joke, but everyone leaves. Everyone gets up, goes to the bathroom. So it's opposites. But what I found does work is that with this greatest hits show, well, first of all, obviously, I'm not a successful comedian. So a lot of people are seeing these jokes for the first time, so I'm calling them a greatest hits tour. But half the audience is made up of people that have just moved here, never heard of me before, or coming up for the first time, haven't seen me in years, or only seen me last year, so they didn't see these jokes when they performed 10 years ago. That's what I would say. Some people who were maybe came to see me at the Imperial Theatre 10 years ago when I first moved here, they're recognizing some of these jokes. But what I have done to them, and here's a crucial, interesting, positive difference between comedians and musicians, is that I'm essentially remixing these jokes. I'm updating them, as I said, I'm adding to them. I'm adding stories about the jokes in some context. I'm adding stories about ways in which they've landed, because part of this tour is also about me talking about my life as a comedian in the last 20 years. But I'm remixing, reworking these gags, adding to them, which the people who do know the jokes inside out, and presumably will like them, absolutely love the fact that it's being they're hearing new tangents, new tags, new, facets to it. So they're laughing at the surprises. The people that are seeing it fresh. But if the Rolling Stones started to fuck with "I Don't Get No Satisfaction," we'd all be mad. We don't want to hear a mega mix of that. But people don't seem to mind hearing a mega mix of old jokes, because when an old joke is added to and improved upon or updated, it's a good thing. But I don't want to hear, Oasis update cigarettes and alcohol. You want to hear things as they were. So that's the difference. I hope that helps. And thank you, Adam, for reaching out. And I will literally answer any question on here anytime. Kive Lucas did reach out about this show, so it's a wonderful initiative that I believe Kive is behind, called Bad Words for a Good Cause, and they keep doing shows all around the Greater St. John area to help local initiatives. So with the help of the Soapbox Preacher, they're donating part of every ticket towards Forward House. Forward House creates a sober living facilities for abandoned homes. What an absolutely genius initiative. Chris Hovey is headlining, bar none, one of the funniest comedians anywhere. I've seen Hovey rip the absolute roof off Punchlines Comedy Club many times. And yeah, one of those guys that's very hard to follow in the best possible way. So he should be headlining. Equally, the whole support lineup is absolutely fantastic. David Miles Holland Hall, doing such great things. Adam Blanchard, Josh, and it was Josh that. Oh, and was it Josh that kindly reached out with this? Anyway, Josh, I've heard so many wonderful things about your act, and I feel absolutely so embarrassed. I'm about to butcher your surname, but it's Josh Kotzabastakis. I mean, it's so embarrassing when you have to do this stuff live and you can't go back and fix it because it's not the first time any of us had to pronounce. Anyway, so Josh Kotzabastakis heard so many great things about. And I look forward to learning to pronounce your name correctly, by the way, and seeing you live, my friend. And please don't hate me for being a moron. And feel free to call me James Mulligan, anytime you want. So anyway, go see David, Kive, Adam, Josh. And I believe it was Josh that was it Josh? Actually, it was just Josh that reached out to me about this. So Josh, thank you very much for that. And thank you for doing this. Was it Josh or Kive? I can't remember. It was Kive. The other, and then they're doing others. The St. George at the pub on Main Street in support of the local Legion. Brian Giles is headlining, another great comedian. Brian Godse, love Brian Godse, Michael Miskimen, and I guess Caitlin Dean, wonderful Caitlin Dean. And Kive is hosting that one. So both shows are $15 in advance, and $5 from every ticket goes to the charity. So go, laugh, and do good things. Okay. Oh my God, I've hardly done any questions. Okay, Charlotte Flewelling's ongoing wonderful question. And Charlotte, thank you for being the one and only person that listens to the podcast on YouTube. Current obsession in food, pop culture, life in general. The Penguin. Oh my goodness. Watched it yesterday. Read a 5-star review on The Guardian, my Bible, the British newspaper, The Guardian, which I read every day, about 5 times a day. It's how I know what's going on in the world. The headline of the review, Lucy Mangan, great TV critic, headline says The Penguin, 5 stars. Which getting 5 stars out of her is not easy. Colin Farrell deserves all the awards for this powerful Batman spin-off. It's slick, it's fast, and it doesn't feature the Caped Crusader once. The Irish actor is a revelation in a series that's so twisty it leaves you breathless. Yeah, well, it's that twisty, unless she's watched more than. Anyway, it is phenomenally entertaining. Colin Farrell is great, although he is under layers of prosthetics, so it's hard to tell what is actually him. The relationship between him and his sidekick, the kid, is great. I love the whole slush puppy thing. How it's not just good, it's better. Mixing the flavors. It is essentially the same trajectory as almost every crime show we've all ever seen, but there's echoes of The Sopranos in it. I mean, their relationship is, somewhat unbelievable. It's pretty much every kind of mob movie where someone gets taken under someone's wing. But I'm an absolute sucker for mob movies, especially when they are somewhat rooted in, it doesn't have to be realism, but just in terms of like the mob, antics isn't the word I'm looking for. Always noise ethics, the hierarchies, and I've read hundreds of mob books, so the details about how mafia work need to be right for me to be sounding like I'm some kind of a professional about that. But anyway, it's very entertaining. While it's not wholly original, doesn't need to be. So yeah, check out The Penguin. I've only seen the first episode, which is I think the only one that's out there. It is available to watch on Crave, or if you haven't got Crave, movies to watch.tv. Didn't say that. Watch out for the pop-ups. A lot of sexual pop-ups will pop up on this particular less official streaming site. It's very worrying. These pictures of like girls' bums pop up, and because the IP, it knows where you are. So we literally say we're watching a movie with the family, and then like some like naked girl picture pops up on the screen, and it says, "Stacy is in Rosse, and she's looking for action." And you have to like explain to the family this just does it, and you'll get back to Stacy later. um, Sherry McCarthy, thank you. As I was what my favorite Sesame Street character is. That is an excellent question. One of my first VHS big box Warner videos, those big rental cases, was actually, I believe, the Big Bird movie. So in theory, it should be Big Bird. Oscar the Grouch, I have to say, I love because he looks a bit like me. Cookie Monster, obviously. I did an impression. I got to do an impression of Cookie Monster on The Social last year. That's the thing with live TV. You don't really have much of a time to think things through before you embarrass yourself. But I have to say, my favorite is just the name is hilarious, and it's Count Von Count. I find there's some things I find hilarious in life, and there's things like that, like Count Von Count. I think that's just a brilliant pun, brilliant name, brilliantly absurd. He looks awesome. You could have a beer, but you could party with Count Von Count. You could also turn his name into, in Britain, wouldn't be a very insulting nickname, but in Canada it would be, so I can't say it. But Tim Andrews will know what I'm talking about. And Count Von Count. Reminds me. I mean, I love things like that with repetition. I mean, in Bottom, I love the fact that in the sitcom Bottom, Richard's name was Richard. Um, has anyone seen that movie Dracula Dead and Loving It with Leslie Nielsen? So one of these terrible. Have you ever send in your? I love those movies. You know those movies that are terrible, that have like one absolutely killer joke in them. Do you know those movies like Daddy's Home? Daddy's Home 1 is a masterpiece, obviously. Daddy's Home 2 barely has a laugh in it, but there's that one moment when all the parents are sat in the kind of school auditorium, school theatre, and the teacher comes out and says, "Look, we've got professional movie team here capturing the children's play, children's school concert. You don't need to, you can enjoy it, sit back, relax, don't need to get your phones out, just watch it. We're going to give you all a digital file of the whole," anyway. And then the second she finishes the speech, every single parent shoots up with an iPad in front of their face to film it. Just one of those Harris moments. In Dracula Dead and Loving It, one of these moments that just tickles me pink, and I just love it when I think of it, is when Leslie Nielsen's there, like dressed literally as Dracula, like couldn't look more Dracula-y, possibly has the teeth and everything. And then someone comes running and saying, oh my God, someone's had their neck bitten and all their blood sucked out of them." And then the guy, someone just turns around and goes, "Who on earth would do a thing like that?" And then someone, that precise moment, introduces him, "Count Dracula, sir." And it's just so funny, so stupid, combined with Leslie Nielsen's brilliant features. Leslie Nielsen's Canadian, is that right? Leslie Nielsen Canadian? Another great Canadian that has lost his Canadian identity by Americans stealing. Naked Gun remake, what do we think? Is it going to be any good? Okay, I think that's. I mean, time is. There's some more questions here, which I will save for next week. Before we go, I'll read some. As I always mention, my friend Chris Hatt and his lovely team at Kent send out. So yeah, anyway, bad words for send out some inspirational messages, which I will close with. So anyway, bad words for a good cause. Go and see Josh Kotsabaskis. I think I got it right that time. Kotsabaskis. Go and see Josh Kotsabaskis, one of the hottest and most well talked about comedians working in the region states. So go and see Josh and Chris Hovey, Aaron Blanchard, David Miles Holland Hall, and Mikel Lester, and all brought to you by Kai Lucas. Okay. Someone once said, if you get on the wrong train be sure to get off at the first stop. The longer you stay on, the more expensive the return trip is going to cost you. And they weren't talking about trains. Interesting. Another thing that was on this inspiration email was this: saving $8 a day will make you $3,000 a year. Reading 20 pages a day you will read 30 books a year. Walking 10,000 steps per day, you'll have run 70 marathons a year. Never underestimate the power of small habits. Isn't that amazing? Just 10,000 steps a day is not many, but that's 70 marathons you'll have run. Imagine that at the end of the year, you can go, yeah, I'll run 70 marathons this year. And 10,000 steps a day is not many, especially if you work on your feet. Well, I prefer like 10,000 steps on stage in a night. Saving $8 a day. Well, when you think, what are cigarettes now? Over $20? That means that if someone stops smoking cigarettes, they can make $9,000 in a year. So just think that, not having to, and then think of all the shit, money you have to waste on gum. So yeah, not kill yourself, not stink, not have to keep leaving not having to kind of keep leaving work or the venue or whatever. And then at the end of the year, someone hands you 10 grand in cash. Amazing. Okay, that is the podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. I will be back next week with episode 27. And yeah, I hope to see you tonight. Imperial Theatre, 7:30 p.m. Chart Toppers, the Funny Bone edition with me and Symphony New Brunswick. And if you can't make it, please do go out and grab a copy of the Maestra Mélanie with the cover story about Maestra Mélanie Léonard. It is everywhere right now. I went into Shoppers Drug Mart yesterday and was absolutely delighted to see the lovely people at Shoppers are just the biggest display of this new issue. So I'm over the moon to see it everywhere in indigo, beautiful display. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. I've been James Manager, obviously. I better go, and I'm going to be on stage in exactly 12 hours. And I was on stage exactly 12 hours ago. Yeah, lovely job. I can hear my son outside playing hockey. It's amazing. 7 a.m. Good on him. Who wants me to take him to school? Oh, better go. Okay, love you. Really appreciate it. All questions or plugs or anything I can help you with, message me, comedy@jamesmullinger.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And come and see me tonight in Pearl Theatre. Come and see me this Friday at the Playhouse in Fredericton. In fact, don't come for me. Come for Corey and Brady and stick around for me. Lovely jubbly, sweet as a nut, bish bash bosh. Happy days. See you next week.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.